I've had the Fanatec CSL DD for around 60 days now, and it's time to talk, as it's not all sunshine and rainbows. In this video, I will cover what I paid to get the CSL DD by Fanatec to a standard where I'm happy with it, what I actually did to improve it, and discuss what I could have gotten with the money I've spent. And trust me, it's probably more than you think. Okay, so the pack I got from Fanatec was the 5Nm CSL DD with the P1 V2 wheel, and I also ordered a boost pack from eBay for £90. So the pack I got with the load cell included was 470 UK pounds, £90 for the boost pack as I said, so £560. Now if you're not wanting to go for the boost pack, you're going to be looking at €399 or 335 UK pounds. As a note for this video, Fanatec have not sponsored this video, Fanatec have nothing to do with this video. I spent my own money on everything I'm talking about today. And also, worth noting that Fanatec now do free shipping to the UK. So the prices I'm talking about here, the 560 I paid, or 470 for Fanatec, that does include shipping, which I think was around €40. Okay, so what do I actually like about the Fanatec CSL DD? Direct drives offer a greater level of detail, and it delivers it instantly. So it makes catching slips basically second nature. You kind of just find yourself catching them before it's even happened, or straight away as soon as it starts happening. This thing is quiet. So coming from the T300, which is a belt-driven wheel for those who don't know, does make a lot of noise when it's rotating. This one is silent when you're turning the wheel. And even though it's a part plastic, part metal base, it is still great quality. It's very, very easy to set up. I think other than sticking it onto my rig, it was basically plug and play, away I went, install the software, update the drivers, all good to go. Speaking of the software, while not the best, it's not difficult to navigate. And the game profiles from Fanalab actually help as well. Now, for the menu settings or the tuning settings that you don't know, there is actually helpful tips. If you just hover over it, will tell you exactly what that setting does. The pedals, while not the best, they are sturdy and they are well made. So while the pedals are also a drawback, when it comes to the construction of them, for what you pay, the pedals are really, really good and really, really well constructed. And finally, the load cell pedal. So while not part of the base pack, the load cell pedal I think is a damn good option to get. Now there is a downside to the load cell which I will cover as well, but overall, fantastic addition. Okay, so what do I dislike about the package I got? Well, first off, the load cell. It's extremely, extremely firm. Now while I said in the previous section that the load cell for me was a game changer and a no-brainer, this one is extremely firm. The elastomers they issue with this pedal just have virtually no give to them. I've got a video here that I'm gonna put on the screen. Hopefully it should be on the screen about now. But it just has virtually no give. It just makes it feel numb. It's hard to describe. So yesterday, after about 60 days, I actually gave up and I put in a die spring from a 3D printer, which has given me a little bit of feel to the pedal now and actually made my braking better. So trust me, I did try for a long amount of time to get used to this pedal. The throttle's the next thing I didn't really like very much. It's just very soft, there's no stiffness to it, so I've ended up modding that with a spring/dampener thing I got off eBay. And then I've also ended up doing another one, which I actually read online, and I can't remember where I read it to give this person credit. But what I actually did was I swapped the clutch pedal to the throttle. So I dismantled it all, took the clutch pedal bit with the plastic bit on it, and I stuck that into the throttle, which is giving me a stiffer spring, a wider throttle plate, which I was looking for as well. And now it feels really, really good. With both of those mods, now it feels good. Now don't get me wrong, you may not find the throttle to be all that bad. I am just quite hard to please, unfortunately. I'm aware of that. So don't take my word for it that you're going to dislike this throttle. Again, construction-wise, it's fantastic. Okay, so next up is the P1 V2 wheel, which I wasn't overly in love with. Now, this is the cheapest wheel that Fanatec do. It's one that comes with the base ready-to-race bundle. Now, it's not an uncomfortable wheel to hold. It's actually really comfy to hold. There's nothing actually wrong with that. The parts that I had problems with were the buttons. They are not very nice to press, and they rattle a hell of a lot. Now, that was just one of the things I didn't like. The next one I didn't like was the fact that I was getting creaking from this, and it's not coming from the QR2 Lite wheel side. I'll get to that in a minute. However, it's coming from these two joints here, on the left and right of the wheel, particularly right in here. On the left-hand side, there was a creaking, and it's definitely a plastic creaking as well. So I did try playing around with the screws on the back, which are just behind the gear shifter just here. I tried tightening them, that made it worse. I tried slacking them off, that did improve it a little bit, but it was still there. I just didn't want to put up with that anymore. It was just annoying me. But overall, if you're into GT3 driving or Formula driving or like that, the McLaren GT3 V2 behind me is definitely a really good buy. Certainly over this. Now, if you're into rally or if you're into, I was going to say drag racing there. If you're into rally or if you're into drifting, I know you want a circular wheel. I would probably consider putting your money elsewhere or into a different wheel. I just couldn't feel comfortable recommending that you get this wheel with it. Unless, of course, you're strapped for cash and you have to go for the base ready to race bundle, in which case you aren't really going to get better for your money. I mean, Moza offered the R5 bundle. 5nm Moza R5 is around about 465 UK pound, I think it is. So there is still a definite price increase there. I believe the Moza wheel is better than this one, from what I understand. But again, I've not used it. I couldn't testify to that. So okay, so next up on things I wasn't overly in love with when it came to the pack I got, and I said it sounds like there's quite a lot of negatives here. There genuinely, it really isn't. I'd say for the base price for the 5nm, you probably aren't going to get better for your money. However, QR2 light wheel side. This thing is big. It's clunky. The spring in it isn't very smooth. It's quite janky. It's not very smooth to press, but also the spring inside here is not very strong. Now, I've had it before, particularly when I'm playing, say, Le Mans Ultimate, which isn't supported by the Fanatec ecosystem just yet. It's a little bit grindy. But when I was getting a change in torque from one way to the other, occasionally I would just hear this crack, and it was coming from these bars on the inside where the spring's not strong enough. And what it was doing was, it was just, as it was snapping back, it was pushing the bar to the side, and then the bar would snap back into place. It wasn't very prevalent on other games, but certainly on LMU it was, which just, again, just indicated the fact there was a problem there. So yeah, this kind of makes it to the not in love with it. Okay, so staying with the QR2 base side. Fanatec, I urge you, take this out of the ecosystem. This is not good. It cannot handle 8nm at all. Now, the first part has nothing to do with 8nm. 3 days after I got my wheel, now bear in mind I'd used it maybe about an hour each day for 3 days. This thing had already come loose, where it actually, the USB on the back had pulled out the port, and my wheel just wasn't registering. It was putting my base into just a constant reset loop. Nothing was working. And then someone on Reddit told me to basically pull this out and reseat it again. So I did that, tightened it up to 8nm, and everything was fine. Now, when I say loose, these things were loose. It wasn't just a case of like they just needed slightly tightened. Everything was fine. Everything carried on. However, I would have run into this problem again, and I know this because when I went to replace this with the Simu QR2 Pro bundled, which is fantastic, by the way, thoroughly recommend it, the bolts were coming loose on this again already, so not as loose as they were when I got them from Fanatec. So this cannot handle 8nm. If you're at 5nm, it might be okay. However, I just urge you, Fanatec, take this out the CSL DD, put the metal one in, increase the price slightly if you need to cover your costs, but this shouldn't be there. Okay, so what have I changed to improve the package? I've added the McLaren GT3 V2 wheel. Fantastic wheel, a noticeable step up in quality over the P1 V2. I've modded the load cell with a spring mixed with the elastomers. That feels a lot nicer to use now. And I've also modded the throttle as well. So I've changed the clutch and the throttle around. So I'm using the clutch pedal as the throttle, which is a bit finicky to do. You have to strip them down and swap the actual pedals over. But it does wonders. You now get a stiffer spring basically on the throttle. It makes it feel nicer to use. And the spring/dampener I found on eBay for about £15 just adds a little bit more resistance to the throttle and makes it feel nicer. And lastly, but certainly not least, QR2 Pro Bundle by Simjack from AliExpress. Got this for about £82, I think it was, delivered to replace the QR2 Lite, which if you look at the size difference, this is massive compared to this. But this is all metal, feels a lot sturdier. There's no movement in it. There's no cracking in it. There's no creaking in it. Just really, really good. Okay, so let's talk numbers about everything I've spent to get this performing the way I want it to perform. The bundle from Fanatec, £470 delivered. Again, delivery is free now from Fanatec. £90 for the boost kit, genuine boost kit from eBay, used. £190 for the McLaren GT3 V2 wheel. £3 for the die spring from AliExpress for the load cell pedal. I don't buy these from Amazon for £10, £15, whatever they are. You can get it from AliExpress in a week, sometimes less than a week, for £3. The throttle mod, £15 from eBay, and the QR2 Pro bundle by Simjack from AliExpress with the metal base side and the metal QR2 for the wheel side. And that takes me out to a total of $853. Now, I didn't realize how much I'd spent until I total things up for this video. But let's talk about Moza for a second. So Moza R9 bundle direct from Moza is £599 for the R9 and the KS wheel. Arguably a better wheel than the McLaren GT3 V2. Certainly a better quick release than Fanatec, and I don't think that's deniable by anyone. And a slightly more powerful base. Now I don't think I would really notice the 1 Newton meter increase in the torque from the base. Now add in a pair of Simjack UT pedals, which have the 3 pedals with the heel plate, and I think the hydraulics are thrown in there as well. That's £206 from Amazon for pedals that are probably still better than the ones I've got now, actually. And that takes you to £806. So I spent more than that to get this to run the way I wanted it to run. So I'm curious, let me know in the comments, do you think I made the right choice? Do you think I should have gone Moza and gone the R9 with the KS wheel and got Simjack UT pedals? Because I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of, grass is greener now, potentially. I don't know. You never know, maybe one day I'll get my hands on a Moza. But let me know in the comments below. So once again, I've been Just Dave, reminding you all to keep it rubber side down, and remember, we do this for fun, so be nice to one another.